By 2021, the war in Afghanistan had stretched into its third decade. A generation had grown up knowing nothing but conflict. For many Americans, the war had become background noise, distant and abstract. Yet within Afghanistan, a storm was brewing that would soon shock the world. After 20 years of intervention, training, and promises, the US-backed Afghan government began to crumble faster than anyone had imagined. When President Joe Biden announced in April 2021 that all American troops would be withdrawn by September, the decision seemed final, resolute, and inevitable. "It's time to end America's longest war," he declared. But behind the calm tone was a ticking clock. The Taliban, reading the message loud and clear, accelerated their offensive. Province after province fell, not through pitched battles, but through quiet surrenders and negotiated handovers. Afghan soldiers, unpaid for months, demoralized, and without air support, laid down their weapons. The government in Kabul insisted everything was under control. It was not. By August, the Taliban had encircled the capital. The speed of their advance stunned even their own commanders. In Washington, intelligence reports had predicted Kabul could hold out for months. It fell in 11 days. On August 15, 2021, as Taliban fighters entered the city, President Ashraf Ghani fled the country. His sudden departure symbolized the final collapse of 2 decades of US nation-building. In a matter of hours, the Afghan flag was replaced by the white banner of the Taliban. Then came the images that seared themselves into global memory. Thousands of Afghans flooded Kabul's Hamid Karzai International Airport, desperate to flee. Men clung to departing CA-17 aircraft, some falling to their deaths from the sky. Families crowded the runways, waving passports, pleading for escape. For Americans watching from home, it was déjà vu, echoes of Saigon, 1975, replayed in high definition. The world's most powerful nation, retreating under fire, ending a war it could no longer justify. The US military scrambled to execute one of the largest airlifts in history. Over 120,000 people were evacuated in 2 frantic weeks: diplomats, Afghan interpreters, journalists, and soldiers' families. The operation, though massive, was chaotic and tragic. On August 26, a suicide bombing outside Abbey Gate, claimed by ISIS-K, killed 13 US service members and more than 170 Afghans. It was one of the deadliest days for American forces in years, and it struck a raw nerve across the nation. The loss came just days before the final withdrawal, turning an already painful exit into a national wound. On August 30, 2021, as the last US plane lifted off from Kabul under the cover of darkness, Major General Chris Donahue became the final American soldier to leave Afghan soil. The war was officially over. The Taliban stood victorious, their return to power complete. The same group that the US had ousted 20 years earlier now ruled once again, wearing American gear, driving American vehicles, occupying American-built bases. Back in the United States, reactions were mixed: grief, anger, relief, and confusion blended into one. Veterans questioned whether their sacrifices had meant anything. Families of the fallen mourned anew. Policymakers defended the withdrawal as a hard but necessary decision. Yet the haunting images from Kabul, the chaos, the fear, the desperate faces, became symbols of unfinished promises. The fall of Kabul marked more than the end of a war, it was the end of an era. For America, it forced a reckoning with the limits of power, a realization that even with the mightiest army, victory could not be sustained without legitimacy and endurance. For Afghanistan, it meant a return to uncertainty, as decades of progress for women, education, and democracy hung in the balance. The echoes of 2021 still linger, in the memories of soldiers, in the stories of refugees, and in the uneasy conscience of a superpower that learned, once again, how hard it is to end a war that began with such certainty and ended with such heartbreak.